Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrit Adi Lila, chapter 17, verse 76 onwards. We shall be doing our reading today. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam ham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Verse 76, chapter 17 of the Adi Lila. Na sadhayati mam yogo, na sankyam dharma uddhava, na swadhyayas tapas tyago yatha bhaktir mamurjita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna said, my dear Uddhav, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through the study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. Purport: Karmis, Jnanis, Yogis, Tapasvis and students of Vedic literature who do not have Krishna conscious simply beat around the bush and do not get any final profit because they have no clear knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nor do they have faith in approaching Him by discharging the devotional service, although everywhere such service is repeatedly emphasized, as it is in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 20. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 55 also declares, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yash chasmi tatvataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality as He is only by devotional service. If one wants to understand the Supreme Personality factually, he must take to the path of devotional service and not waste time in profitless philosophical speculation, fruitive activity, mystic yogic practice, or severe austerity and penance. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, the Lord confirms Klesho Adhikarat Adhikataras Tesham Avyakta Sakta Chetasam. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. People who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord are obliged to take great trouble, yet nevertheless they cannot understand the absolute truth, as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdyate. Unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of both Brahman and Paramatma, one is still in darkness about the absolute truth. Verse number 77. Murari ke kahe tumi Krishna vasha kaila shuniya murari shloka kahite lagila. Lord Chaitanya then praised Murari Gupta by saying, you have satisfied Lord Krishna. Hearing this, Murari Gupta quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, verse number 78. Kwaham daridraha papiyan kwa Krishna Shri Niketanaha Brahma Bandhur iti samaham bahu bhayam parirambhitaha. Since I am but a poor sinful Brahma Bandhu, not Brahmanically qualified, although born in a Brahmana family, and you, Lord Krishna, are the shelter of the goddess of fortune, it is simply wonderful, my dear Lord, that you have embraced me with your arms. Purport: this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 81, verse 16, spoken by Sudama Vipra in the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. This and the previous verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam clearly indicate that although Krishna is so great that it is not possible for anyone to satisfy him, he exhibits his greatness by being personally satisfied even with one who is unqualified from so many angles of vision. Sudama Vipra was born in a family of Brahmanas, and he was a learned scholar and a class friend of Krishna's, yet he considered himself unfit to be strictly called a Brahmana. He called himself a Brahma Bandhu, meaning one born in a Brahmana family but not Brahmanically qualified. Because of his great respect for Brahmanas, however, Krishna embraced Damavipra, although he was not a regular Brahmana, but a Brahma Bandhu or a friend of a Brahmana family. Murari Gupta could not be called even a Brahma Bandhu because he was born of a Vaidya family and according to the social structure was therefore considered a Shudra. But Krishna bestowed mercy upon him, Murari Gupta, because he was a beloved devotee of the Lord. As stated by Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the purport of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's elaborate discussion of this subject is that no qualification in this material world can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Yet everything becomes successful simply through development of devotional service to the Lord. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness cannot even call themselves Brahma Bandhus. Therefore, our only means for satisfying Lord is to pursue the injunctions of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, who says, Yare dekhat tare kaha Krishna upadesha amar agya guru hana tara ei desha. Whomever you meet, instruct him on the teachings of Krishna. In this way, on my order, become a spiritual master and deliver the people of this country. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 7, verse number 128. Simply trying to follow the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we speak to the people of the world about Bhagavad Gita as it is. This will make us qualified to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Verse 79. Ekadina Prabhu sab bhakta gana lana sankirtan kari vaise shrama yukta hana. One day the Lord performed Sankirtan with all his devotees, and when they were greatly fatigued, they sat down. Verse 80. Ek amar bij Prabhu angane ropila tat kshane janmila vriksha badite lagila. The Lord then sowed a mango seed in the yard, and immediately the seed fructified into a tree and began to grow. Verse 81. Dekite dekite vriksha haila phalita Pakila anek phala sabai vismita. As people looked on, the tree became fully grown with fruits that fully ripened. Thus everyone was struck with wonder. Shatadui, this is verse 82. Shatadui phala prabhu shigra padaila prakshalana kari Krishna bhoga lagaila. The Lord immediately picked up about 200 fruits, and after washing them, he offered them to Krishna to eat. Verse 83. Rakta pita varna nahi ashti valkala eka janer peta bhare khaila eka phala. The fruits were all red and yellow with no seeds inside and no skin outside, and eating one fruit would immediately fill a man's belly. In purport in India, mango is considered best when it is red and yellow. Its seed is very small, its skin is very thin, and it is also palatable that if a person eats one fruit, he will be satisfied. The mango is considered the king of all fruits. Verse 84. Dekhiya santushta haila shachira nandana sabake khaoyala age kariya bhakshana. Seeing the quality of the mangoes, the Lord was greatly satisfied, and thus after eating first, he fed all the other devotees. Verse 85. Ashti valkala nahi amrita rasamaye eka phala khaile rase udara puraya. The fruit had no seeds or skins. Excuse me. They were all full of nectarian juice and were so sweet that a man would be fully satisfied by eating only one. Verse 86. Aimata pratidina phale bara masa vaishnava khaina phala prabhura ullasa. In this way, fruits grew on the tree every day throughout the 12 months of the year, and the Vaishnavas used to eat them to the Lord's great satisfaction. Verse 87. Aisaba lila kare shachira nandana anya lok nahi jane vina bhakta gana. These are confidential pastimes of the son of Shachi. Other than devotees, no one knows of this incident. Purport. Non-devotees cannot believe this incident, yet the place where the tree grew still exists in Mayapur. It is called Ambra Ghatta or Ama Ghata. Amra means mango, obviously. Verse 88. Ay mata bara mas kirtana avsane Amar Mahotsav Prabhu Kare Dine Dine. In this way, the Lord performed Sankirtan every day, and at the end of Sankirtan, there was a mango eating festival every day for 12 months. Purport: on principle, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would distribute prasadam at the end of Kirtan performances. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement must distribute some prasadam to the audience after performing the Kirtan. Verse 89. Kirtan karite Prabhu Aila Megha Gana Apana Ichaya Kaila Megha Nivarana. Once, while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Kirtan, clouds assembled in the sky, and the Lord, by his own will, immediately stopped them from pouring the rain. Purport: in this connection, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that once, when Lord Chaitanya was performing Sankirtan, a short way from the village, some clouds appeared overhead. By the supreme will of the Lord, the clouds were asked to disperse, and they did. Because of this incident, that place is still known as Meghera Chara. Since the course of the Ganges has now changed, the village of the name Bela Pokhuriya, which was formerly situated in a different place called Taranavasa, has now become known as Meghera Chara. The Madhya Khanda of Sri Lochan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal also relates that once at the end of the day, when evening clouds assembled overhead and thundered threateningly, all the Vaishnavas were very much afraid. But the Lord took his kartals in his hands and personally began chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, looking up toward the sky as if to direct the demigods in the higher planets. Thus all assembled clouds dispersed, and as the sky became clear, the moon rising, the Lord became dancing very happily with his jubilant and satisfied devotees. Verse 90. Ekadine Prabhu Srivasere Ajna Dila Abrihat Sahasra Nam Pada Shunite Mana Haila. Was it Brihat? I think not Abrihat. Brihat Sahasra Nam Pada Shunite Mana Haila. One day the Lord ordered Srivas Thakur to read the Brihat Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, for he wanted to hear them at that time. Verse 91. Padite Aila Stave Nirsimehera Nama Shunya Avishta Haila Prabhu Gauradham. As he read the 1,000 names of the Lord, in the due course, the holy name of Lord Nrsimha appeared. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, he became fully absorbed in thought. Purport: the Chaitanya Mangal Madhya Khand describes this incident as follows. Srivas Pandit was performing the Shraddha ceremony for his father, and as is customary, he was wearing the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. At that time, Gaura Hari, that is Lord Chaitanya, appeared on the scene, and he also began to hear the 1,000 names of Vishnu with full satisfaction. When he thus heard the holy name of Lord Nrsimha, Lord Chaitanya became absorbed in thought, and he became angry like Nrsimha Prabhu in his angry mood. His eyes became red, his bodily hairs stood on end, all the parts of his body trembled, and he made a thundering sound. All of a sudden he took up a club, and people became greatly afraid, thinking, we do not know what kind of offense we have now committed. But then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adjusted his thoughts and sat down on his seat. Verse 92. Nrsimha Aveshe Prabhu Hate Gada Lana Pasandi Marite Yai Nagare Dhaya. In the mood of Lord Sri Nrsimha Dev, Lord Chaitanya ran through the streets, club in hand, ready to kill all the atheists. Verse 93. Nrsimha Avesha Dekhi Maha Tejomay Patha Chhadi Bhage Lok Pana Bada Bhai. Seeing him appearing very fierce in the ecstasy of Lord Nrsimha, people ran from the streets and fled here and there, afraid from his anger. Verse 94. Lok Bhaya Dekhi Prabhura Bhaya Haila Shivas Krihite Giya Gada Phelaila. Seeing the people so afraid, the Lord came to his external senses and thus returned to the house of Srivas Thakur and threw away his club. Verse 95. Shivase kahena Prabhu kariya vishad lok bhaya paya mora haya aparad. The Lord became morose and said to Shivas Thakur, when I adopted the mood of Lord Nrsimha Dev, people were greatly afraid, therefore I stopped, since causing fear among the people is an offense. Verse 96. Shivas balena ye tomar naam le tar koti aparad sab haya kshaya. Shivas Thakur replied, anyone who takes your holy name vanquishes 10 millions of his offenses immediately. Verse 97. Aparad nahi kaile lokera nistar ye tuma dekhila tar chutila samsar. There was no offense in your appearing as Nrsimhadev. Rather, any man who saw you in that mood was immediately liberated from the bondage of material existence. Verse 98. Eta bali Shivas karila sevana tushta hana prabhu aila apna bhavana. After saying this, Shivas Thakur worshipped the Lord, who was then greatly satisfied and returned to his own home. Verse 99. Ardena Shiva Bhakta Shiva Gunagaya Prabhura Angane Nache Damru Bajaya. On the other day, a great devotee of Lord Shiva, chanting of Lord Shiva's qualities, came to the house of Lord Caitanya, where he began dancing in the courtyard and playing his damru, a musical instrument. Verse 100. Mahesha Avesha Haila Shachira Nandana Taras Kandhe Chadi Nritya Kaila Bahu Kshana. When Lord Caitanya, adopting the mood of Lord Shiva, got on the man's shoulder, and thus they danced together for a long time. Purport. Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu adopted the mood of Lord Shiva, for he is Shiva also. According to the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva, Lord Shiva is not different from Lord Vishnu, but still Lord Shiva is not Lord Vishnu, just as yogurt is nothing but milk and yet is not milk. Nevertheless, one cannot get the benefit of milk by drinking yogurt. Similarly, one cannot get salvation by worshipping Lord Shiva. If one wants salvation, one must worship Lord Vishnu. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshva avasthitaha. Everything is resting on the Lord, for everything is his energy, yet he is not everywhere. Lord Chaitanya's adopting the mood of Lord Shiva is not extraordinary, but one should not therefore think that by worshipping Lord Shiva, one is worshipping Lord Caitanya. That would be a great mistake. Verse 101. Aradine eka bhikshuka aila magite prabhura nritya dekhi nritya lagila karite. On another day, a mendicant came to beg alms from the Lord's house, but when he saw the Lord dancing, he also began to dance. Verse 102. Prabhu sange nritya kare parama ullase prabhu tare prema dila prema rase bhase. He danced with the Lord because he was favored by the love of Krishna, thus he flowed in the mellows of love of Godhead. So we will continue our reading from verse 103 of chapter 17 of Adi Lila from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita next time. Thank you all for joining, and today was also the disappearance of the Tirobhav day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and we read about him as well in one of the sloks in the beginning. So thank you all for joining. Wish you all a very blissful week ahead. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.